Hey everyone, and welcome to Let's Command Episode 2. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the 4-color commanders coming out with Commander 2016. This is going to be the first of probably 3 videos. In the next video, we're going to be talking about the partner commanders. And then in the third video, we'll just talk about Commander 2016, the reprints, the new cards, etc., etc. So let's just jump right in to our first commander, Brea, Etherium Shaper. So what I'm going to be doing real quick in this series, or in this video, is I'm going to be reading their little blurb of backstory, reading the card, and then giving a few thoughts on the card and the deck that you could build with it. So, Brea's backstory. The Esper Shard of Alara is driven by the Noble Work, an effort to augment all living things with an aether-infused alloy called etherium. Esperites believed Alara's etherium supply was finite because no one could create it, but Brea has proven them wrong. While exploring Jund, Brea discovered Karmat, a red stone necessary for creating etherium that didn't exist on Esper. To prove her achievement, Brea replaced the majority of her organic body with etherium she created herself. Soon after, Brea realized that the wild magic of Jund had influenced her metal, granting her powerful abilities. So, that's Brea's backstory. Her card. She costs a white, a blue, a black, and a red. She is the null green commander. She's a legendary artifact creature human and 4/4. When she enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 blue Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. Tap 2, sacrifice 2 artifacts, choose 1. Brea deals 3 damage to target player. Target creature gets -4/-4 until the end of turn. You gain 5 life. So Brea is a pretty potent commander. She's essentially Esper plus red. Maybe you could say Angry Esper. I still prefer null green, though you could also probably refer to this color scheme now as the Brea color scheme. You get a 6/6, chunk of creature when she enters the battlefield. And for her first ability, it's notable you have blue. And blue, you have things like Deadeye Navigator. White has some cloud shifty things as well, but you have a lot of bounce in the Azorius color scheme. So you can get value out of her first ability pretty well. Her second ability, though, is her toolbox. And I actually really like her toolbox. It does cost a lot to get it going. 2 and sacrificing 2 artifacts is not insignificant. But you have the Is It combo here of things that come into play and drop you Thopters, or servos now because of Kaladesh. So I actually think getting the artifacts and getting the mana to fuel her is not going to be difficult at all. You can use things like Ashnod's Altar or Basalt Monolith to get you your mana. There are things that put Thopters into play, like Thopter Spy Network and Paya and Kirin Nalar, various and sundry other things that'll get you tokens. You can bounce them in blue, bounce them with white, recur them with the red. It's a really, really nice color scheme for what she is. So with her toolbox, her dealing damage to a player, I don't think it counts as commander damage. Fairly certain it doesn't. But because of the way you can get a lot of colorless mana going with artifacts and entering the infinite or near infinite, you can pretty much machine gun people down with her. Her targeted removal is awesome. -1 or -4 is actually a lot to take out of a creature, and it goes through indestructible. Obviously, if a creature has protection from one of her colors, which is doable given that she has 4 colors, then yeah, you can't target them with it, but that's fine. It's still a lot of removal, a lot of potent removal. And then gaining life in Esper is not that bad, actually. You could even make a whole, because you also have Orzhov, and you got to remember that Orzhov creatures, they have a lot of life gain and using life as a resource, things you can take advantage of with her. So Brea as a commander is not only a toolbox commander, her deck can run through multiple styles of play. You can do life gain, you can do straight up Esper with red artifacts, you can combine together all sorts of things in her deck. She's a very versatile commander. And also, you can build around her to try and make her abilities as best possible and as strong as possible and happen as often as possible. Or you can just build a really solid deck and have her as just a piece of that deck. So Brea is really great. She's definitely on, in my opinion, the higher end of these new commanders. And in this video, I'm not actually going to rate them or place them in a list, but I am going to say, like, Brea, and I'd probably say Atraxa are your upper ones, because they're just really, really versatile and really potent with their abilities. Up next, we have the Null White Commander, Yidris, Maelstrom Wielder. An ogre from the Grixis Shard of Alara, Yidris was one of the incurables afflicted with unstable mutations that threatened to shatter his mind. Though he was a mage, no magic could relieve his curse, and Yidris resigned himself to his fate. When Grixis collided with the other 4 shards during the plane-spanning event known as the Conflux, the shattered plane of Alara was made whole. Knights from Bant drove Yidris into the Maelstrom, a volatile storm of raw mana at the plane's center. The unpredictable power of the Maelstrom stabilized his mutations and made Yidris a conduit for its own chaos. So Yidris, he is blue, black, red, and green, legendary creature, ogre wizard. He is a 5/4 with trample. His ability is, whenever he deals combat damage to a player, as you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascade. So, Yidris, I'm torn about Yidris, and there are a couple reasons why. One, I was really hoping this color scheme would have been Ludovic, and given what Ludovic was given to us, I may have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder about the Null White Commander, but also, I kind of feel like Maelstrom Wanderer might actually be the superior of the two. They kind of do similar things. Like Maelstrom Wanderer, when you play him, you cascade, then cascade. He costs a lot, which means he costs a lot. So if he dies, he costs a lot. But you're in, blue-green, which is super rampy. So Maelstrom Wanderer's mana costs you could easily mitigate in those colors. And with Maelstrom Wanderer, you can bounce him, you can actively have him killed and then recast, and you get your cascade happening. Yidris, it requires him to deal combat damage to a player, which isn't difficult. Again, you've got Dimmer in his color scheme, and there's a lot of evasion, and even in all of the colors, really, there's a lot of evasion you can throw on the things. So, but especially in blue-black, there's evasion. There are artifacts that can make him evasive as well, and he has trample, so you can pump him up in green easily and sneak that damage through so you can start cascading. I'm a little torn on which one would be a better commander between your two cascade options. The other thing about Maelstrom Wanderer is he doesn't require the 4th color, but he costs way more. There's a back and forth here for me. I do think his ability can be really, really powerful, because all you have to do is get 1 damage on a player, and then everything you're casting is going to cascade, which means you're going to get more spells cast out of your deck. And given that, he has a penchant for chaos, you can actually play up a lot of the chaotic elements of the game. So you can cascade into something that cascades for you. You can cascade into something stupid that's funny, but still, stupid, Possibility Storm. So he's a really potentially powerful commander. I'd probably say he's in the middle. He's a middle guy. And there are a lot of ways you can take his deck. Losing white isn't that bad, and you have the 3 best colors, obviously, in Commander in the form of green, blue, and black. So the sky's the limit, really, for him. It's a highly customizable commander. You don't have to build around the chaos, though it's probably a lot of fun if you do. But I would probably lean towards building around him, rather than make a good deck with him as the leader, unless you really want that color scheme. So yeah, very, very potentially powerful. But again, it's Cascade, and Cascade, Maelstrom Wanderer has been around for a while. And while he's good, he's not, let's break the game good. I mean, you generally don't want your commander to be like that, but Cascade is one of those, you really do have to surrender yourself to that chaos to have a lot of fun with it. So if I were building him, I would definitely throw in all sorts of things that just screw with the game. Alrighty, next up we have Saskia, the Unyielding, the Null Blue Commander. Saskia was the sole survivor of a massacre conducted against her village by an invading army from across the sea. The warrior tradition of her people calls for the survivors of a battle to erect a monument of stones for the fallen, a task Saskia toiled at in solitude for nearly 10 years. As news of her labor spread among her kindred, thousands of warriors journeyed to see Saskia place the final stone upon the symbol of defiance. The monument complete, her mind turned from mourning to vengeance. With an axe in hand and a host at her back, Saskia brought war to the doorsteps of her enemies. So, Saskia is black, red, green, white. Legendary creature, human soldier, and she's a 3/4 with vigilance and haste. When she enters the battlefield, choose a player. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to the chosen player. So Saskia is your heavy aggro commander. She is basically combining everything creature, like she's going to be creature oriented. You want your deck creature oriented. And you want to get damage just pouring out. Her vigilance and haste is pretty nice because it immediately means you can have her jump on the battlefield and just bury her battle axe in someone's face. So her ability will effectively double your combat damage, I should say, output. And I think that's okay. I'd probably say she's on like the lower end of our pseudo rating I'm saying aloud. For a very aggro deck, she has potential to be really good. But usually with aggro, you kind of want to focus a person down so then you'll actually have fewer people to have to deal with. That's why Adriana, that Boros commander from the second conspiracy set, is kind of only okay because melee is like you're playing wide, and just with aggressive creature decks that do combat things, you tend to play more tall. You tend to go after like that one guy that's really going to screw you over, or the person who's already ticked you off. And with Saskia here, you can do that pretty well, but you can also play it a little wider because let's say you're playing a 4-player game. You choose player number 3, and then you can swing at player 2 and player 4. And then you're still dealing damage to player 3. And you don't actually have to get your creatures past whatever player 3 has thrown up in front of you. So Saskia does have some advantages in being able to say, it's your turn, and then you go and fight someone else who's maybe playing a not-so-creature-heavy deck that you can blow through their defenses with. That other person you pointed at is going to be taking the damage. Of course, this is Commander, so if you're playing a 4-player game and suddenly you're like, I'm going after you, player 3, and then you start swinging at player 2 and 3 are probably going to turn around and just beat your ass. So, Saskia, you're not playing politics with her, you're playing aggro. That kind of carries negative connotations sometimes. Now, you could just say, I'm naming you player 3, and then attack player 3, you got your double damage swinging just at them. And then you have Saskia bounce or die and come back, and you can choose another player. So you can kind of play it like that as well. So she, kind of like Yidris, it's like, you can potentially make a really powerful deck, but for her, it's like, as soon as you start being really aggro, you probably are going to have a target on your face. And I didn't mention this with Yidris, I actually think he's kind of a weak creature flavor-wise. Because we already have, like, Maelstrom Wanderer, and like I said, I kind of really wanted Ludovic to be that thing and be really good. So flavor-wise, I kind of don't like Yidris as much. Saskia is interesting, because Saskia looks like she's from a plane we haven't seen yet. Specifically a Celtic plane. And that's a Celtic plane slash kind of Viking plane, like a Northern European plane. Like heavy with either the Celtic or Viking themes is something people wanted for a while, since the new planes have been showing up, and since the planes that have been showing up theme themselves towards that, like Tarkir was very Mongolian, and Kaladesh is very Indian, and obviously Theros is Greek. Getting a Viking slash Celtic slash heavily themed towards Northern Europe as a plane theme has been asked for a while. So I think this is technically our first preview of it. And that's sort of why her description doesn't give any, like, proper nouns out. Because it's like, oh, they're probably planning this plane already. Because they plan these things like years and years in advance. So that's probably why they don't mention anything proper noun-wise in her text. Because they're probably throwing this plan out in the coming years. And they don't want to like spoil anything, or if they have to rename things, they probably don't want to name them here. So next up, we're looking at the No Black commander, or should I say commanders, Kynaios and Tiro of Meletis. In the age of antiquity, the humans of the region that would one day become the largest polis on Theros were ruled by the tyrant Agnactor, an immortal archon. Unchecked for generations, his power grew as he carved out a mighty empire. Kynaios and Tiro, joined by their love for one another and for freedom, rose to challenge him. The people rallied to their cause, and Agnactor was defeated. The palace of Meletis was founded on the ruins of Agnactor's empire as a beacon of freedom and enlightenment, and its people chose Kynaios and Tiro to be its guardians. So here is probably one of the biggest flavor wins in this entire set. Because in Theros, there was that card, Guardians of Meletis, and it was like an 06 wall that just had flavor text. And the flavor text said something like, the love story between these two people was lost to time, and people only remember them as rivals, or something like that. And it basically said, these two male characters are gay. So these are those characters. And I wouldn't say the internet's blowing up about the fact that Tiro is holding Kynaios' helmet and like stroking his hair, but it is actually like a very tender thing to see on this card with like two macho Greek guys on it. So I hope I'm not the only one this happens with, but whenever I see their card, I kind of think of the Queen song Princes of the Universe because of the "Here we are, born to be kings" line. I do just think of that when I see their card, and it makes me smile a little bit. I hope other people think that as well. So the card itself, red, green, white, blue is their cost. They're a legendary creature, human soldier. They are a 2/8, and their ability, at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. Each player may put a land card from his or her hand onto the battlefield, then each opponent who didn't draws a card. Are they the first we've had with flavor text? Oh, there. Flavor text. Look what we have fought for. Look what we built together. So they have a huge ass. They are an 8 toughness creature. Nice and sturdy defensive creature. I think the reason they have an 8 toughness is because they are both 1/1 soldiers. So, you know, that's their 2 power and 2 toughness. But also, if you look in the background, there's the Guardians of Meletis statues, and that's an 06. So think if you take the 2 1/1s and combine it with the 06, you get a 2/8. And again, that's kind of a flavor win to me. Now, their ability, I kind of wish it was more asymmetric, favoring you for a group hug commander. Because that's really what they're kind of bent to do, is be like the, I'm going to play politics guy. It's the, no, don't attack me, you're going to lose your card advantage then, type of thing. But I do kind of wish it did benefit you a bit more. Specifically, I kind of wish it was the second half of the ability. I wish it affected you as well. Like if it said, each player may put a land card from his or her hand onto the battlefield, then each player who didn't draws a card. So yeah, that would get you 2 cards. That would get you huge card advantage, while still allowing people to gain from your political plays. However, you do automatically get the card draw anyways. So if you can't put a land on the battlefield, you're still getting equal card draw with everyone else. Yeah, like I just wish it was a little more asymmetric, a little more beneficial towards you versus your opponents. Otherwise, it's a pretty okay card. Like I said, you're going to be building around playing politics and maybe group hugging a lot. But the thing about group hug decks is you're not trying to play nice. Group hug decks, you're just trying to delay your opponents, then you explode. You almost are like, you're almost playing a tall defensive strategy where you're just focusing on yourself and trying to get the cards you want as fast as you can, and then everyone else is going to ignore you because you're helping them out. And then you throw down some crazy powerful thing, and everyone's like, oh crap, I can't believe we let him go that long to get that. Or something along those lines. I mean, I kind of want to build a group hug deck that's very, very huggy, not so much a group slug deck. And if I were to do that, I would definitely pick these guys, I think, over anyone else. Like Zedru the Great-Hearted, he says he's a group hug commander, but anyone who's thought about building a Zedru deck knows you're not playing a group hug deck with him. But these guys are like, you want to do more group hug, I think. Though you do kind of end up with some nice colors for getting a lot of combat trickery in there as well. So maybe you're playing the politics game and then throwing down some crazy Waro stuff or crazy Gruul stuff. And you do have access to Azuria, so you get things like this Tension Sphere and Supreme Verdict that you can get some control elements out. So I think that this could also be played as yeah, on the surface I look like I'm group hugging, but really I'm an army and you guys are screwed because my army's so good. Or I look like a group hug deck on the surface, but really I'm a control deck and you guys are screwed because you're never going to be able to do anything ever again. All in all, I'd probably say they, are in the maybe middle power-wise. Flavor-wise, slam dunk, home run. Awesome flavor on this card. And now we have the null-red commander, Atraxa, Praetor's Voice. Atraxa marks the final victory in the Phyrexian conquest of Mirrodin. Once a Mirran angel who opposed Phyrexia's corruption, she was captured while single-handedly protecting a Mirran retreat. The Praetor, Elesh Norn, honored the angel's tenacity with the blessed gift of Phyrexian completion, inviting other Praetors to contribute. Urabrask declined, but Jin-Gitaxis, Shellowed Red, and Vorinclex all agreed to join Elesh Norn's efforts, and Atraxa was born, an awe-inspiring testament to Phyrexia's single purpose. So Atraxa, she is green, white, blue, and black. You get a legendary creature, Angel Horror. That's a 4/4. She has flying, vigilance, death touch, and lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, proliferate. So Atraxa, to me, I think is my favorite out of all of these. Because not only is she a flavor win, she's awesome. So the flavor here is, on New Phyrexia, the Praetors captured this angel. They all threw in on creating this Phyrexian herald, essentially, this Praetor herald. And then Urabrask was like, nah, I'm gonna stay hidden. Like, it's such a great representation of that concept in the Praetors that the red one, he doesn't really care about the other Praetors. He doesn't want to be involved with whatever they're doing. He just wants to be out on his own, just free from them. Because all of the Praetors kind of represent the heavy negative aspects of whatever color they are. Like, the key thing about their color, the Praetors are kind of that thing taken to the negative nth degree. Because Urabrask is all about freedom, but freedom doesn't exist for Phyrexians, really. So that's why he's the hidden. He has to be, like, he's freedom, but at the same time, that's not a Phyrexian concept. It's sort of like Elesh Norn takes community to the extreme, and Jin-Gitaxis takes search for knowledge to the extreme, and Shellowed Red, I cannot pronounce her name, is a giant evil spider thing, and Vorinclex is the voice of hunger. So, and that's where you kind of get the Flying Vigilance Death Touch lifelink with her ability soup here. The flying from blue, Vigilance from green, Death Touch from black, and lifelink from white. And then, like, Azorius for flying, and Simic would be the Vigilance, I guess. Death Touch from Golgari, lifelink from Orzhov. So it's like, okay, the flavor win here is the card is reflecting what these colors are. And then the other flavor win is, as I mentioned, Urabrask not being involved. But also, the card is really awesome. Like, just, you can Voltron around her. Because she's great. Like, Flying Vigilance, Death Touch, Lifelink is just an awesome slew of abilities on this card. Every turn, you're proliferating. This means, if you're running +1/+1 counters, Atraxa is a great commander for it. Because you have Simic and Golgari together. You have Abzan in there. You have all the +1/+1 counter-related colors all together all at once. So you can do Doubling Season, plus Primal Vigor, plus Corpsejack Menace, and still have, like, if you want it in there, Fathom Mage. You still have everything with Greft and Evolve. You have everything with Bolster. You just have access to all the +1/+1 counter shenaniganery you could ever want. But also it's Proliferate. And Proliferate affects every type of counter you can put on a permanent or a player. So you can run this as an Infect commander. Because she's Phyrexian, that's a flavor win. You can run this as a Super Friends commander. Because Proliferate affects loyalty counters on Planeswalkers. You can run this even as an experience token, counter heavy commander. You can throw Azuri Claw of Progress in there, flavor win again. Mirren of the Clan Toth, and Daxos, the Returned, as 3 creatures in this deck. And you can proliferate their counters. And not only that, those 3 together are actually kind of awesome. Because Daxos can make cheap creatures that ding Azuri's ability. And then Azuri can make your creatures better and take advantage of the proliferate every turn, but also Mirren can get those creatures back into the battlefield if they die. Or you can just rotate your library into your graveyard and use Mirren to get them back. So Atraxa, I think, is probably the most powerful. She's probably the most valuable because of the Super Friends thing. And I think she's maybe the most versatile, even beating out Brea, because pretty much anything involving counters of any kind, you can play with her. And you have probably the most relevant combination of 4 colors in this entire set here, and in all of Commander. Because, let's face it, green-blue is super powerful. Black thrown on top of that, or paired with green or paired with blue, is also super powerful. Bant, green, white, blue together, super powerful. Esper, white, blue, black together, again, powerful. Red is probably your weakest color in Commander, and not having it in there, even for Super Friends, you're like, oh well, oh no, I don't have burn spells, really. So yeah, I think Atraxa is probably your most powerful of all of these, your most versatile of all of these, and that might just be my opinion showing through here, because I have a thing for +1/+1 counters, obviously with Kraj, but, I mean, just look at her. She's an awesome creature, and she helps so many deck archetypes. And her colors are super awesome combined together. And she's a flavor win. So yeah, Atraxa, this is exactly what you want out of a 4-color legendary creature. Alrighty, so that covers all of the new 4-color commanders in Commander 2016. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we're fine with me basically talking for a half hour about the new commanders. They're all looking pretty good, but I think some are definitely better than others. 4 colors for creatures, I can understand why they've only done it one time before, and those were kind of weird, and they aren't very popular creatures. It's a hard thing to design out in Magic the Gathering, thanks to the way the color pie works and how the colors combine together. But I think they did the best they probably could with all of these. I like Brea, I like Atraxa, I think Yidris should have been Ludovic. I'm sure a lot of people think that. I think that the Guardians of Meletis as a card, like seeing them finally, is a flavor win. And Saskia is intriguing mostly because we see a new plane. Next episode, we're going to be looking at the partner commanders. And that's going to be fun and probably really long. I'm going to try to cover them all in that episode. So thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time for that.